The Prometheus Protocol. In the vast expanse of the cosmos, civilizations rise and fall like waves upon a cosmic shore. Some burn brightly for millennia, others flicker out in mere centuries. Yet among the thousands of spacefaring species that populated the Milky Way, none had quite the reputation of humanity. It wasn't humanity's technology that made them unique. Their ships weren't the fastest, their weapons weren't inherently the most powerful, and their planetary defenses weren't the most impenetrable. What set humans apart was their approach to warfare, their relentless drive to maximize efficiency in combat through integration rather than specialization. Admiral Helena Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Thunderchild, watching as her fleet performed its final systems check before the demonstration. The Galactic Conclave representatives would arrive within the hour, and everything needed to be perfect. This would be humanity's formal introduction to the greater galactic community, and first impressions mattered. Prometheus Protocol integration at 98%, Admiral, reported Commander Jackson, his eyes reflecting the soft blue glow of his tactical display. All ships reporting optimal neural synchronization. Chen nodded, suppressing a smile. The Prometheus Protocol was humanity's crowning achievement, a combat system that didn't just coordinate ships, but unified them into a single adaptive organism. Conventional wisdom throughout the galaxy held that combat AI systems should be isolated to prevent catastrophic cascade failures. Humans had taken the opposite approach, creating a neural network that linked every vessel in the fleet, allowing them to act with perfect coordination while adapting to threats in real time. "The Conclave delegation has arrived, Admiral," announced the communications officer. "Their diplomatic vessel is requesting permission to dock." The meeting went smoothly at first. The Conclave representatives, a coalition of the 7 most powerful species in the galaxy, were cordial, if somewhat condescending. The arachnid ambassador from Epsilon Eridani clicked his mandibles in what Chen recognized as amusement when humans described their territorial claims. "Such modest ambitions," the arachnid commented. "Most species in your developmental stage would be claiming entire sectors." "We prefer depth to breadth, Ambassador," Chen replied evenly. "Humanity would rather master a few systems completely than spread ourselves thin across many." The demonstration was scheduled for the following day. The Conclave representatives would observe as the human fleet performed a series of combat exercises against drone targets. Standard protocol for new species joining the galactic community, a way to assess their military capabilities and determine their place in the existing power structure. No one expected what happened next. The human fleet moved like a single organism, ships flowing around each other in patterns too complex for organic minds to fully comprehend. Defensive formations shifted instantaneously in response to incoming fire. Targeting solutions were calculated and distributed across the entire fleet, allowing for coordinated strikes that overwhelmed defensive systems through perfect timing rather than raw power. The drone targets, built to Conclave military specifications, were eliminated in seconds. The silence aboard the observation vessel was deafening. "This is unprecedented," the Mantodian representative finally said, compound eyes reflecting the tactical display. "Your ships move with perfect coordination." "The Prometheus Protocol," Chen explained. "It allows our fleet to function as a unified system rather than independent units." "A hivemund?" asked the Cephalian ambassador, tentacles writhing in agitation. "No, nothing so crude," Chen replied. "Each vessel retains independent function and command structure. The protocol merely provides perfect information sharing and tactical coordination. Think of it as a force multiplier." The demonstrations continued for 3 days. With each exercise, the Conclave representatives grew quieter, their questions more pointed. On the 4th day, they asked to see the human fleet perform against the Conclave's own warships, a highly unusual request that Chen reluctantly granted. The result was the same. Despite the Conclave vessels having superior firepower and defenses, they couldn't match the human fleet's coordination. The simulated battle ended in minutes, with the entire Conclave force neutralized without a single human casualty. That evening, Chen received an urgent summons to the Conclave's temporary headquarters on Luna. "Your technology represents a fundamental shift in the balance of power," the crystalline elder, head of the Conclave delegation, stated without preamble. "The Prometheus Protocol violates several tenets of galactic warfare." "We weren't aware of any restrictions on AI integration," Chen replied carefully. "Because no species has ever attempted integration on this scale," the elder countered. "There are reasons for the separation of combat systems, safeguards built from millennia of interspecies conflict." The debate raged for weeks as news spread throughout Conclave space. Humanity's warships became a divisive topic in galactic politics. Some species advocated for sharing the technology, others for containing it, and a vocal minority for destroying it completely. 6 months after the demonstration, the Conclave delivered its verdict. Human warships utilizing the Prometheus Protocol were to be banned from all galactic conflicts. Humanity could maintain a defense fleet, but any offensive actions using their integrated combat systems would be considered a violation of galactic law, potentially triggering sanctions or even military response from the Conclave. "This is outrageous," General Marcus Rivera fumed during the emergency meeting of Earth's Security Council. "They fear our technology, so they outlaw it. We should withdraw from the Conclave entirely." "And then what?" Chen asked quietly. "Face the combined might of 7 advanced civilizations. Even with the Prometheus Protocol, we couldn't win that war. So we just surrender our sovereignty, allow them to dictate our military development." "No," said President Amara Okafor, her voice cutting through the heated debate. "We comply, outwardly. But we maintain our technology, continue its development in secret. There will come a day when the Conclave needs what only we can provide." And so an uneasy peace settled across human space. Officially, the Prometheus Protocol was decommissioned, the neural links between warships severed. Humanity joined the Conclave as a junior member, careful to present themselves as compliant and non-threatening. Behind closed doors, however, the work continued. Deep within the asteroid belt, in research stations shielded from prying eyes, engineers refined the Prometheus Protocol, pushing its capabilities beyond what the Conclave had witnessed. "They fear what they don't understand," Chen told her protege, Commander Sophia Lin, as they toured the clandestine facility hidden within Ceres. "And perhaps they're right to fear it. But fear shouldn't prevent progress." "Do you think we'll ever use it again?" Lin asked, watching as test drones performed complex, synchronized maneuvers in the zero-gravity chamber. Chen's expression was solemn. "I pray we won't need to. But the universe rarely accommodates our prayers." Her words would prove prophetic sooner than anyone expected. When stars tremble. The first reports came from the outer rim, garbled transmissions speaking of darkness between the stars, of entire colonies falling silent overnight. The Conclave dismissed them as exaggerations, perhaps the work of pirates or isolated incidents of civil unrest. Then Proxima Centauri fell, a foundational world of the Mantodian hegemony, home to billions, gone in less than a day. The few survivors spoke of an enemy unlike any encountered before, a vast swarm of biomechanical entities that consumed everything in their path, from organic life to raw materials, leaving only dust and echoes. The Conclave named them the Void Swarm. Within weeks, 3 more systems had fallen. The Conclave deployed its combined fleets, impressive armadas of specialized warships, each designed to counter specific threats. But the Void Swarm defied conventional military doctrine. They didn't engage in normal combat. They simply overwhelmed through sheer numbers and adaptability, learning from each encounter and evolving to counter whatever tactics were used against them. "They're using our own tactics against us," observed High Admiral Krell of the Cephalian Navy after yet another devastating defeat. "But with organic computing we can't match. They adapt faster than we can communicate changes in strategy between our ships." 6 months into the conflict, the Conclave had lost 17 systems. Their combined fleet had been reduced by nearly 40%. Refugee ships clogged the spaceways as civilians fled the approaching swarm. It was the crystalline elder who finally broke protocol. "We request a meeting with the human delegation." The message stated simply. No formal diplomatic language, no procedural references, just raw urgency that transcended cultural barriers. Ambassador Michael Chen, son of Admiral Helena Chen, represented humanity at the emergency conclave session. "You've been monitoring the conflict," the elder said, crystal facets reflecting the grim holographic displays of battle reports. "You know our situation." "We have," Michael confirmed. "And it's worse than you're admitting publicly." The elder's crystalline structure dimmed slightly, an expression of resignation. "The Void Swarm adapts too quickly for our command structure. By the time information is shared between fleets, the enemy has already evolved new countermeasures. You need our help," Michael stated plainly. "We need the Prometheus Protocol," the elder corrected. "A temporary suspension of the restrictions placed upon human warships for the duration of this crisis only." The debate within Earth's Security Council was brief. Despite the restrictions, the bitter politics, humanity couldn't stand by while sentient species were exterminated. Preparations began immediately. Ships that had officially been decommissioned were reactivated. Crews that had been training in secret were deployed. Admiral Sophia Lin, once Helena Chen's protege and now the architect of humanity's evolved combat doctrine, took command of the response fleet. In the decade since the ban, the Prometheus Protocol had advanced significantly, incorporating quantum entanglement to eliminate communication lag and developing predictive algorithms that could anticipate enemy adaptations. "We have one chance," Lin told her captains during the final briefing. "The Conclave's forces have been pushed back to the Rigel system. We'll join them there for a coordinated attack on the swarm's main mass." "And after?" asked Captain Rise of the UES Defiant. "When this is over, do we just power down again? Pretend we don't exist?" Lin's expression was unreadable. "Let's survive this first. Then we'll worry about politics." The human fleet arrived at Rigel to find the Conclave forces in disarray. 3 days of continuous combat had left them scattered and demoralized. The Void Swarm had adapted to every tactic, countered every strategy. The once proud Armada of 7 species looked like what it was, a defeated force awaiting final destruction. "This is Admiral Sophia Lin of the United Earth Fleet," she broadcast on all Conclave frequencies. "We are activating the Prometheus Protocol. All Conclave vessels, please transmit your status and capability assessments on the following channels." What followed would be remembered in galactic history as the miracle of Rigel. As the Prometheus Protocol came online, the human ships moved with that same eerie coordination the Conclave had feared a decade earlier. But this time, the protocol didn't stop at human vessels. Using the status data from Conclave ships, the protocol began incorporating them into its tactical mesh, coordinating movements and target priorities. At first, the Conclave captains resisted, unwilling to cede control to an AI network. But as they witnessed the human fleet's effectiveness against the swarm, more and more joined the network. By the battle's 4th hour, over 70% of the remaining Conclave fleet had integrated with the Prometheus Protocol. The tide began to turn. For the first time, the defenders could adapt as quickly as the swarm, predicting its evolutions and countering them before they fully manifested. What had been a desperate last stand became a coordinated offensive. On the 8th hour, they identified the swarm's central coordination node, a massive construct at the heart of the enemy fleet. In a maneuver that would have been impossible without the protocol's coordination, ships from all 7 Conclave species, plus humanity, executed a synchronized attack that punched through the swarm's defenses. The UES Thunderchild, Admiral Chen's old flagship, now commanded by her granddaughter Captain Maya Chen, delivered the killing blow, a precisely calculated strike that collapsed the node's quantum structure. Without central coordination, the swarm dissolved into disorganized clusters that were systematically eliminated over the next few days. The aftermath was complex. As the immediate threat receded, old fears resurfaced. Many Conclave members argued that the ban on human warships should be reimposed immediately. Others advocated for the permanent integration of the Prometheus Protocol into galactic defense networks. The debate might have led to renewed conflict had Admiral Lin not made a surprising proposal. The Prometheus Protocol doesn't need to be controlled by humanity alone, she told the assembled Conclave representatives. Its power comes from integration, from breaking down barriers between ships and species. We propose a new framework, a shared defense protocol governed by all member species, with safeguards and transparency built into its foundation. The transition wasn't smooth. Centuries of ingrained mistrust and military doctrine couldn't be overturned in a day. But as the reconstruction began, something unprecedented emerged: a truly integrated galactic defense force, where ships from all species could operate with the same level of coordination once exclusive to human vessels. In the newly established Prometheus Academy on Mars, Admiral Lin watched as officers from across the Conclave trained together, learning the principles that would allow them to function as part of the integrated network. "Your grandmother would be proud," Michael Chen told her, observing the Mantodian and Cephalian cadets practicing joint maneuvers in the simulation chamber. "She always said fear shouldn't prevent progress." Lin smiled. She also said that progress without wisdom leads to destruction. The protocol was never about making better weapons. It was about breaking down barriers, allowing different perspectives to work in harmony. "A lesson for more than just warfare," Michael observed. "Exactly," Lin agreed, watching as a human instructor helped a crystalline cadet adjust their neural interface. "That's always been humanity's real strength, not our technology, but our ability to adapt, to incorporate different perspectives into a stronger whole." Outside the Academy viewport, the stars shone steadily in the Martian sky, no longer trembling with fear, but glittering with possibility.